For over 50 years, I've traveled the world in search of the strange, the unusual, and the unexplained. But in fact, it was right here in Malta that I got my first taste of archaeological mysteries and a lifelong desire to uncover the mysteries surrounding the nature and origins of man. Since then, I visited over 30 countries in search of the unexplained. It was right here, however, to this unique and intriguing island of Malta, that I always wanted to return. In this series, we'll attempt to uncover some of the fascinating and unique mysteries of this historically rich island and to reveal them to the world at large. I'll examine much that still remains unexplained as we visit the archaeological sites and historical locations which abound on this island of mystery and intrigue. We'll look at the temples of Zabuj and Mjar, and the earliest of them all, Gozo's Gigantia. Best known, of course, are those at Tarshin and Hajaim. These amazing structures that seemingly sprang from nowhere, megaliths that predate history itself, and are older than such world-renowned sites like the pyramids and Stonehenge. But this was not the beginning. It was nearly 2,000 years earlier. We have evidence of man's presence right here at Adalam, the Cave of Darkness. This remarkable cave holds the key to man's first setting foot on what is now known as the Maltese Islands. At that time, they were joined to the mainland. We're talking, I think, 5,200 BC. That's over 7,000 years ago. By examining the different fossils contained in Malta's geological strata at different times and varying depths, we'll learn of a remarkable species of animal life and unique plants. During the Ice Age, the last of which ended, I guess about 12,000 years ago, Malta and Sicily were connected. When an ice age occurs, a significant amount of seawater is incorporated into polar ice masses. It results in a drop of sea level. When the ice melts during an interglacial period, the sea rises again. This is what we believe happened about 12,000 years ago. It was this land bridge between Sicily and the Maltese Islands that enabled the migration of life to a warmer climate. It was this process that was also responsible for the hollowing out of caves and caverns like Adalam. This is undoubtedly Malta's most important paleontological site. The cave, as we see it, is about 145 meters long. However, it's in the unique composition of its depth that the real story is told. A sequence of fossilized remains of animals extending back from about 130,000 years ago.
These temples date back to around 3,500 BC. According to studies carried out by various experts, it seems that the whole structure had a roof, which did not withstand the test of time. Reputably the oldest freestanding temple in the world. It seems that the prehistoric population resident in Malta and Gozo worshipped deities of fertility and idolized women as being the personification of creation and rebirth. These temples suggest that those who built them were extraordinary builders and talented architects, and experts conclude that with the rudimental tools available at the time, it must have taken a great number of years for that population to move, position, and erect the boulders for such a wonderful complex. Whilst in the middle of the temple, you may want to close your eyes, and with a swift stretch of the imagination, go back through the centuries, where you will find yourself reliving those times when Gigantia was a shrine of veneration, a temple for people to show gratitude for a mild winter, and a sanctuary where evildoers sought forgiveness. Listen to the howling wind through the boulders, which have stood there for more than 5,000 years, and take heed of the message of the gods.
Hajaim, meaning sacred stones, is a megalithic structure made from Globigerina limestone, situated on a spectacular site overlooking the sea. Date from the Jugantia and Tarshin phases, between 3600 and 2500 BC. 7 headless fat deities were discovered throughout the temple, which are now on display at the Archaeological Museum in Valletta. Several unsymmetrical oval chambers connect from the main entrance of the temple that are unlike other prehistoric temple plans.
Upon seeing the temple for the first time, one immediately sees a very large, high stone slab measuring about 20 feet high. Was it perhaps an ancient symbol of fertility? The facade of the main temple in Hajaim is not only impressive due to its large size, but also because of its beauty. Once you have walked through the entrance, you come to the first oval chamber. The first things you notice are the carefully shaped window stones that make up the entrance to both sides chambers. Almost at once you recognise the characteristic block altars completely covered with a bizarre decoration. Small dots hammered into the stone. A few steps beyond there are 2 table-like altars shaped like giant mushrooms. Especially noticeable are the so-called trilith niches, consisting of 2 standing vertical stone slabs and another horizontal one resting on top of them, which has led archaeologists to believe that the sacrificial offerings played a very important part in the life of this Stone Age civilization.
We don't even really know exactly what the structures were used for, but we do know that they were very special places. Now we see raw rocks open to the elements, but when the temples were in use, they would almost certainly have been covered with roofs of hide, wood, or perhaps even of stone. Some parts of them would have been plastered and decorated with elaborate patterns.
In the middle of modern structures in the small city of Tarshin, which imperceptibly merges with Paolo, lie the impressive remains of the largest Maltese temple complex, which consists of 6 individual temples built between 3800 and 2500 BC. 3 are in very good condition and even partly rebuilt. From the remaining 3 only traces remain. One first enters the forecourt of the so-called southwestern temple. Immediately noticeable are large stones resembling cannonballs, which are believed to have been used by this early Stone Age culture to bring heavy blocks made of stone. In the eastern end of the forecourt lies a flat stone with a high border and 6 holes on the ground, possibly serving the purpose of receiving fluid sacrificial offerings which were then percolated into the ground. Upon walking into the temple itself through the trilith entrance, one sees the first oval chamber. It is formed by a roughly rectangular court in the centre, and it has 2 outgoing apses. This is where there are altars covered with reliefs depicting plant arabesques, spirals and waves, as well as the largest Magna Mater statue in Malta. Many more details typical of Maltese temples can also be made out in Tarshin. So, for example, there is a large stone receptacle in which the blood of the sacrificed animals was probably kept, and also a stone bowl with traces of burning, where the flesh of the sacrificed animals was possibly burned.
A couple of thousand years after the temples were built, their builders left Malta and the pages of the history books. Nobody knows what happened to them or where they went.
Called the hypogeum, the subterranean structure was revealed to be 3 levels deep, all hewn from solid stone. Perhaps one of the greatest mysteries concerning the hypogeum involve the acoustical properties in what is called the oracle room.
The acoustic properties within this are absolutely extraordinary, because what happens is that if a person is within the oracle room, the way that their voice is carried is heard within the whole of the complex.
or do its advanced acoustics suggest that early Maltese people had mastered the science of sonic manipulation, the ability to manipulate solid matter through audio frequencies? If the oracle room was used to harness the power of audio waves, as many ancient astronaut theorists believe, is it possible the prehistoric builders used sonic technology to help build Malta's mammoth temples?